If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living out of a fucking goofy, entitled dickhead like you. You know my name, Andrew Tate. Google it if you want to know more.
Andrew Tate, the self-proclaimed top G, just attacked Jake Paul after he rejected his fight offer, and honestly, it was well-deserved.
Not only world champions of the past, we have world champions of the present. Marissa Shields in the building.
This time it is a bit shocking because this blonde-headed man has built his entire career on bold call-outs. So why would he chicken out now? Jake claims he's all about proving himself as a real fighter, so it shouldn't matter who's standing across the ring, right? Apparently, it does matter if that person happens to be Andrew Tate.
Two brothers, one cage. Jake Logan, you Tristan. Who comes out alive?
You know what? I'm trying so hard to not start internet beefs. I'm really trying not to.
You could say Jake and Logan, man.
Bro,
Don't worry about it.
No, I can't lie. Bro, I'm going through life. I'm trying to live peaceful now.
The fight Andrew proposed wasn't some gimmicky, low-stakes affair. It was a serious challenge, free of fluff and spectacle. And the best thing here is that Andrew Tate isn't the kind of opponent who needs Jake's fame or fortune at all. The man is reportedly worth $710 million. He doesn't need the paycheck or the publicity. But Jake? Well, turning down this opportunity has raised a lot of questions. For a guy who prides himself on taking on anyone, anywhere, why would Jake suddenly get cold feet? It feels like he saw something in Andrew that made him think twice. Something that didn't fit into his carefully constructed narrative. By the end of this, you'll know exactly why Jake Paul rejected Andrew Tate's fight offer, and spoiler alert, it's not because Andrew isn't a worthy opponent. 3 weeks ago, Venture the Unknown commented that Andrew Tate will knock Jake into next year.
That's delusion. That's delusion. I'm
This
sorry.
ain't beef.
Look, Andrew, fighter, legitimate, badass motherfucker, strong mentality. I'm sorry, Tristan Tate is a weak link.
I say let's
He
run
got a bad shoulder. He's shaped like a gingerbread man. I don't want no beef, but that's delusion.
PFO will set this up.
Uh-oh. A MMA double tag team match.
10 million for everybody.
You might have a fight, you might have a fight on your hands.
And people are of this clear idea because Tate made his challenge clear and simple. No outrageous demands or convoluted terms. Just two men settling a score in the ring. At 37 years old, Andrew is in peak physical condition. This isn't some washed-up athlete clinging to past glories. He's a 4-time world kickboxing champion, a title that speaks volumes about his skill, discipline, and athleticism. His fitness and combat experience are undeniable, making him a legitimate threat in any fight. Joe Segui took the hilarious turn and roasted Jake Paul by saying that Paul will now head to the nursing home in search of his next competitor.
Jake Paul, it's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check. You know what? If I made my money impressing 4-year-olds on YouTube and managed to somehow become a multimillionaire from it, I'd probably live in a dream world too. But let me explain something to you about combat sports. There are a whole bunch of men out here who will never be as famous as you, will never make the money you've made, who would kick the living out of you.
Jake Paul, on the other hand, has carved a niche for himself in the boxing world, but not without controversy. His bouts have often been against opponents who were either out of their prime or had little to no boxing experience. Despite this, Jake has marketed himself as a fearless competitor. However, when Andrew threw down the gauntlet, Jake seemed to falter. He came up with excuse after excuse, dodging the fight in a way that left even his most loyal fans scratching their heads.
If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living out of a goofy, entitled dickhead like you.
The reality is that Andrew Tate is not just another challenger. He's not looking for clout or a payday. Andrew brings an unmatched authenticity to the table. His track record in combat sports is impressive, and his persona is raw and unapologetic. He's not relying on PR stunts or manufactured drama to stay relevant. This makes him a stark contrast to Jake, whose brand thrives on spectacle and controversy. Andrew's rejection of the usual theatrics Jake employs added a layer of seriousness to the challenge, something Jake clearly wasn't prepared for. 3 weeks ago, Ranveer Sabharwal said, "Andrew Tate is correct. Shame on Jake Paul."
Yeah, he'll never do that, though. He knows. He knows way.
One, he's under contract. And
he's
two,
not his own boss.
And two, he won't do it. He knows better. He might
And it's
say,
funny to say, like, yo, Conor McGregor is scared of Jake Paul and will never box him.
So why would Jake, a self-proclaimed problem child of boxing, back out of a fight with someone like Andrew? The answer lies in fear. Fear of losing, fear of being exposed, and fear of facing someone who doesn't play by his rules. Jake's previous fights have often been accused of being more about entertainment than genuine competition. There's a pattern of cherry-picking opponents who are either past their prime or lack the skill set to truly challenge him. In contrast, Andrew made it clear that their fight would be anything but scripted. This wasn't going to be another orchestrated event for social media buzz. It would have been a real fight, something Jake hasn't truly faced before.
I'm one of the lucky ones. I made a little bit of money. I don't have 50 million to bet with you, but I do have 3 million to bet with you. So this is your offer. $3 million. You put 3, I put 3. Winner takes all. I'm 5 years out the ring. I'm a kickboxer.
Jake's brand relies heavily on his undefeated image and the illusion of invincibility. A loss to Andrew wouldn't just hurt his boxing record. It would shatter the carefully curated persona he's worked so hard to build. And Andrew, unlike Jake's past opponents, has nothing to lose. He doesn't need to prove himself or gain notoriety. He's already established. This imbalance of stakes undoubtedly played a role in Jake's decision to reject the fight.
If they buy it.
But let's say he would call you to fight. Would you take it?
Yeah, I mean, Jake and I actually talk. He's an all right guy. There was a time we were talking about fighting each other, and I think if this arrest didn't happen, it probably would have come to fruition. We'll see what happens in the future.
Jake's history of carefully selecting opponents is no secret. From Ben Askren to Tyron Woodley, his matches have been calculated moves designed to keep him in the spotlight while minimizing risk. Each fight has been a step toward building his brand rather than testing his skills. Andrew Tate, however, doesn't fit into that mold. He's not just a fighter, he's a strategist. Andrew understands the psychological and physical aspects of combat, and he's not someone Jake can easily outmaneuver. This likely intimidated Jake, who thrives in situations where he has the upper hand. The fallout from Jake's rejection has been significant. Fans and critics alike have called him out for dodging a real challenge. Social media is buzzing with accusations of cowardice, and even Jake's most devoted supporters are starting to question his motives. Meanwhile, Andrew is basking in the aftermath, using Jake's refusal to further solidify his own reputation as a fearless competitor. He's taken the opportunity to expose what he sees as Jake's true nature, a boxer more interested in maintaining a facade than proving himself against worthy opponents. Jake Paul's refusal to fight Andrew Tate may have saved him from a potential loss in the ring, but it's done irreparable damage to his credibility. The move has painted him as a cherry picker, someone more concerned with preserving his image than taking on genuine challenges. For a man who's built his career on boldness, this retreat feels like a glaring contradiction. Andrew, on the other hand, emerges unscathed. He didn't need the fight to boost his profile, and Jake's refusal only serves to highlight Andrew's legitimacy as a fighter. In the end, this situation reveals a lot about both men. Andrew Tate stands as a genuine competitor, unafraid to step into the ring with anyone. Jake Paul, despite his claims of fearlessness, has shown that he's still more interested in controlling the narrative than truly proving himself. The irony is that by rejecting Andrew's challenge, Jake has done more damage to his reputation than any loss ever could. Madeline Winifred 2 weeks ago commented, "Andrew Tate's response to Jake Paul is exactly what we expect from a man who doesn't need quick social or another platform to fake his popularity. His online presence isn't built on purchased followers or likes, but on real conversations and unapologetic confidence." Andrew Tate's challenge to Jake Paul and the subsequent rejection have left the sports and entertainment worlds buzzing with questions. For someone like Jake, who thrives on controversy and spectacle, turning down such a high-profile fight seems contradictory to everything he claims to stand for. The backlash he's facing isn't just about the rejection, it's about what it signifies. This isn't simply a missed opportunity for another fight, it's a turning point that exposes the cracks in Jake's carefully crafted persona.
See Andrew's style, he does tend to keep those guards down, but he's comfy at that point.
Jake Paul has always marketed himself as an underdog turned superstar. He built his reputation on the premise that he's unafraid to take on challenges others wouldn't. His opponents, however, tell a different story. Each fight has been a calculated move, designed to maximize attention while minimizing risk. From aging MMA stars to inexperienced boxers, Jake's fights have often felt more like strategic exhibitions than true tests of skill. This formula has worked in his favor, until now. Andrew Tate is an entirely different beast. Unlike Jake's previous opponents, Andrew doesn't fit into the mold of a cherry-picked adversary. His combat resume, combined with his no-nonsense approach, made him the most dangerous opponent Jake has ever faced. Andrew wasn't offering a flashy exhibition. He was proposing a real fight. And in doing so, he forced Jake to confront something he's managed to avoid so far: a genuine, uncalculated risk.
If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living out of a goofy, entitled dickhead like you.
The rejection has led many to question Jake's motives, and more importantly, his credibility as a boxer. Jake's fans are used to seeing him talk a big game, but this time, the bravado fell flat. Social media erupted with memes, criticisms, and debates about why Jake turned down the fight. Was it fear? Was it a strategic move? Or was it simply an acknowledgement that Andrew Tate posed a threat Jake wasn't prepared to handle? For Andrew, this scenario has been a win regardless of the fight's outcome, or lack thereof. By challenging Jake and being turned down, Andrew has cemented his status as someone who isn't afraid to go against the grain. He doesn't need Jake's platform or fan base. He already has a massive following and a larger-than-life persona. But calling out Jake and watching him retreat has added another layer to Andrew's legacy as a fighter who walks the walk. What makes this situation even more compelling is the timing. Jake has been vocal about wanting to prove himself as a legitimate boxer. He's gone to great lengths to shed the YouTuber label and establish himself as a professional fighter. Yet when presented with a chance to face someone as credible as Andrew Tate, he hesitated. The optics of this decision couldn't be worse. For someone who's built a brand around boldness, this move feels like a retreat. This isn't just about a missed fight, it's about what that fight represented. It was a chance for Jake to prove himself against a real opponent, to show that he's more than just a spectacle. Instead, he walked away, leaving fans to wonder if he's really the fighter he claims to be. Andrew Tate, meanwhile, walks away with his reputation intact and his credibility as a fighter reinforced. In the end, the fight may not have happened, but the message is clear. Jake Paul still has something to prove, and Andrew Tate doesn't need to prove anything to anyone.